you guys a kind of pack of a bunch of additions, and they're all kind of put together there in my gal has an updated agenda.
Somebody want to make a motion to,
I can make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda accepted. Consent agenda, approval of the minutes for August 9, 2021, regular city council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Accepted. Petitions, requests, and communication, citizens complaints. We all got them in our form, and it looks like they've all been forwarded to the departments. They are on. Has anybody got any comments or anything on them? Talk to him about that.
The cars off the sidewalk and then they're taking care of anything with their registration or whatever, their customers' cars. Another issue with the semis. I don't know what to say on that. I mean, they looked in the ordinance, you can park there, you can rent the shop, so
Where was that complaint about? Right here.
Larry Lang's old shop.
Oh, okay. Is that one of the heavier roads? I know we got truck routes or whatever. That is a truck route
I
too,
think
right?
that goes down to Third Avenue, right? It's for heavier bill.
I don't think.
I
they're
guess I
coming
haven't
loaded,
noticed
though.
it.
He's usually parks there when he's empty as far
I
as.
Yeah.
talked to him about that and he goes, he's never gonna park loaded, but I don't know, as far as dialing down on the street, you know, the jacks and the blacktop, that was my
You probably should put something under them. To spread the weight, because get even Bill's little trailer last year on that one street, he did it and it punched a hole while it was sinking in anyway.
And then sometimes too, with them back to the duals there, when they turn, that'll tear up the street pretty, I just wish, I'd like to see trucks not, but I mean, I know if we can't stop them, we can't stop them, but I agree that where they dolly it down, that should be addressed, I would think.
And it sounds like he's getting rid of his livestock trailers. So it sounds like he's just gonna be pulling reefers now, so I don't know what his plans are, whatever with that, but
Well, and not that everybody's happy with it either, but we kind of put up with it on the county road out here and maybe that isn't that far from the shop. Maybe you could do that too. So,
My only thought on it is if other cities have done what they've done in the ordinances, rather than say parking, they've said loading and unloading of trailers is permitted. Just so they're not parked there per se,
yeah,
just a language thing.
but like I said, according to the ordinance, we looked at it, there's really nothing that,
I don't know if I've even noticed it, but I don't go around that way a whole lot either.
You don't see him there very often. It's,
the one trailer sat there dolly down for a while.
I guess I never noticed it.
I know my mom's complained about trying to get out of the alley because she can't, when she looks right, she has to get all the way into the street before she can see if there's any traffic coming.
So that's where they're generally parked, is on the west side of that street.
Kind of wherever.
They park the truck and trailer usually on this side, if they dolly one down, they park on the west side.
On the west, okay, yeah. I don't pay that close attention either, so I wasn't positive, but
But that's the other thing too, it's a part, you guys are responding to calls and
It's
stuff.
tricky
Yep.
for the ambulance.
okay,
So Tony doesn't own that building anymore?
He owns it, but he's renting this end out.
Okay. Okay. All right, anything else on citizens complaints or anything? Zoning permits, variance requests. 3. And it looks like the Church of Christ is actually pulling back from the curb what they were originally looking at last year or whatever.
That's the only one of the three. excuse me, one of the three building permits I have a little bit of concern with. If we go in order. The first one is in a commercial district, and essentially they can use all of their lot except for the front 8 feet fronting Main Street, and their addition is going to go off the back. It will not reach the alley, so it's fine. The second one is that Church of Christ, and that one, the only issue is they want the step, they're gonna cover over the current steps of the church with a platform for the handicap. And then they want the steps to go out from the platform to the east onto the sidewalk. So they're gonna have steps on top of our sidewalk going out to the street. And that would be in the right of way, so that would be my biggest concern there. Ideally, in my opinion, they should have those steps going to the south, so they're not interfering with the right of way. But that's not what they're applying for, and that's not what their drawing shows. And then the final one is another commercial building permit for out on Highway 14. And the signage is managed by the state in terms of ordinances. The city doesn't have any ordinances about it. And the addition, they're fine on lot coverage, and they're commercial, so it doesn't apply either, so.
Yeah, I guess I'm not real crazy about that sidewalk or the steps into the sidewalk. The one they had last time wasn't like that, if I remember correctly.
Last time they were gonna cover the sidewalk, wanted to, didn't they? And
Yeah, we were gonna do an encroachment agreement.
yeah, I was gonna say, we kind of agreed to do that, if I remember right, but I don't remember exactly what they were looking to do, but is that something we can do, is like an encroachment agreement with them steps?
I forwarded it all to Attorney Novak quite some time ago. Last year when this was originally brought up, so.
Because the only thing I guess I would say is I don't think there's a lot of traffic on that sidewalk
No.
other than them guys.
It's
but,
pretty much just
Does it
them.
end there?
There's an alley down just past that old house. So that old abandoned house, I think, is gone, isn't it?
Yeah, they tore it out. 'Cause
So then it would go from there to the alley. Yeah, and they own the property.
Couldn't they also just, run the steps to the south and then turn and go down and right to the sidewalk?
When I talked to Tanya, when she brought it in, I mentioned that, and she said, well, we really want people to be able to walk from the street straight in. They don't want them to go around the corner.
You talking about the church thing?
Yeah,
I talked with Todd on that down there. I told him that if they put anything in the right of way, and we come through with a street project or somebody runs into it, it ain't, I mean, it's not gonna get replaced, it ain't on the city. And I said the same thing that you just said, why don't you come up from this way, put a longer ramp or a two-steer
Mhm.
ramp, or whatever. We can't, our building's not designed that way and this and that, it would cost more money. You need to talk to the council, but I did meet with him down there, that's been a while ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
That's initially when they came in, they're like, well, we thought this was already okayed and everything. And I'm like, you didn't get a permit. I think you need to get a permit.
Yeah, they had just asked us about it the last time. They never. I don't know, I just don't know what my feeling is on running into the sidewalk.
I thought they were gonna come in on the north side of the northeast corner of that building. I thought they were gonna cut a doorway, and that's what my understanding was. then that ramp would work on that side, so I don't know why they just
See,
don't.
what they told me is they wanted to bring the ramp coming from the south or the north, I can't remember which way. And would basically. So it would go up on the sidewalk. There'd be a little spot to walk around, that raised. That's probably not a wise idea either. I mean, we come by with the plows.
Mhm.
And you get a wet, heavy snow, every one of us
Yeah.
knows what's gonna happen to the railing.
It doesn't even
You'll
make.
feel that baby right
Yeah.
off, you know,
Mhm.
and that's what I told them. I said, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, and I get you're trying to build your people, your congregation, but I just. But I told them ultimately, it's your guys' decision. But my personal recommendation is I wouldn't put anything in the right of way like that. Especially a raised abutment.
Well, because are we gonna be liable for something if somebody walks on there and trips because of the, I mean, is that a liability for us?
That I don't know. That would be a question for Matt. Because I know like Lynn's story down there, you know, he's got the decorative stuff right on the north side of the school.
Mhm.
And he wanted to add to that. And I said that, Lynn, do what you want there. I said, they come through and rip that all up. I said, they're not gonna put that all back in decorative like that. I said, it looks really nice. Well, then, if they ain't gonna put, I ain't doing it. So then he never did it. He dropped it. I think you should take top of that.
I think that's the only. way to
Number
do it.
one, that'll be the
Table it.
liability side of it.
Yeah,
Cause I can't remember if we ever did talk to him about that or not. Don't believe we ever did reach out to Matt on that.
It's all been in Matt's hands as far as
Oh,
an encroachment agreement that
that's
said.
what it was? Okay.
But he never got it done or got it back to us.
Last
or
time
anything.
I asked him, he didn't have anything done, but it's been very responsible.
On an intersection too, you have somebody slides through the intersection. You know, you're gonna turn to avoid traffic and boom, you had a big pylon.
Well, and they could easily do it to the south and just go out and down the steps that way, I would think.
So are you talking just the steps on the sidewalk
On the
that you're
sidewalk.
opposed to, not the ramp itself?
The ramp,
Is
that's
that right?
good. I mean, that looks like it
The
makes
ramp
sense.
is gonna be on top of their existing steps.
Mhm.
is the way-
Around the side of the building to the, yeah.
Yeah, it's just these
Yeah,
other
and on
steps.
the
It looks like it's
north
gonna
side.
come about halfway into the sidewalk.
Just about, it looks like.
Is that correct?
Thirds for sure. Or a third, I should say.
This is different than what he showed me then, so. This is actually, originally they had the ramp on the city sidewalk. So this is a different drawing.
Yeah, because when they come and talk to us originally.
Right, yeah.
They were gonna cover pretty much the whole sidewalk
yep.
up, but
I remember that.
And that's what I told, I said, I don't think it's a good
Nope.
idea. I thought that's what he had proposed here, I'm sorry.
I wonder what the footage right here is then what's left uncovered. I would, if they left, half of it or whatever, I wouldn't have near the problem.
Yeah, if they were gonna come all the way out to the edge, then it's-
Wouldn't it?
The steps, I guess,
the sidewalk's right here, I think. So the ramp isn't going on the sidewalk at all. The question is the steps right here, I think.
Hmm. Did they want?
That's the way I'm reading it anyway, or looking at it.
You got pour a slab off to this side and you can put steps on this side.
but I understand why they want to go straight up into the.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand that
I
too.
thought they were going to have the ramp go up there. This is different than what they had proposed this summer.
And this is what always ends up being the problem with the zoning permits or the building permits is that we here at City Hall go through the different issues with the people, of what kind of compliance that they need to attain to, and then they do something different after they leave here. So again, that's not a very detailed scale drawing. These are the original ones that we got.
This is the one that they were talking about last year, this option 2. Now they're here on option 1, the way it looks. And the sidewalk. I don't know, it's even different than that even. But on here, the sidewalk's 48 inches. And they got 2 steps in it. So they're gonna be out into it.
24 inches.
Normal step, 14 inches. isn't it?
14, I think you're supposed to have. So you get 28.
Yeah, you're gonna have half, a little over half a sidewalk used out.
Mhm.
So the diagram they gave us, obvious, that's not even be detailed.
This one is, they just didn't put the measurement of the,
Yeah, they just.
They got
don't
everything
measure
else.
Here. They just didn't put how
Measured out.
far their steps were out into the thing.
right?
And there is no grass on that side of the street side of the sidewalk there. It goes right from sidewalk to street.
I believe it's all sidewalk.
Mhm.
Pretty sure it is. I remember it.
Like I want an airplane.
And if we allowed that, we don't have to do a variance or anything on that?
A variance is, the definition of a variance would be to alter from what our zoning ordinance is, and this, if it was, it still has to be back from the right of way, how far, do you remember?
On the front.
So if we're allowing them to go into the right of way, it's more than an encroachment agreement, it would be,
Because they're actually going off their lot.
exactly,
Mhm.
Yeah, they're actually asking to build on something that's not even their land.
Well, they're going into the right of way, basically.
Right.
That's. But even the ramp part of it would be, well, maybe that wouldn't be too close, it'd be close, depending on the width of the street, I suppose.
Front yard is, it's like 20 or 30 feet off of
I think
the,
it's 20, I mean,
off of the right of way.
yeah.
So basically, front door of the church is on the right, they're already,
Right,
They're already
that's why I
encroaching.
knew it was close in there, yeah.
Is that considered like commercial where they can go up to it or not? I don't,
I'm not sure. I don't know how that would be.
Donna and I
determined.
discussed that. We're not sure how since it's in a residential neighborhood, I would say it's residential because it's in a zone residential.
Churches are allowed to be in a residential, it's an allowed use,
Right.
but I don't know the determination in a building, if a church would be considered commercial building.
I don't know, but doesn't it all come down to what their land is zoned for? Not necessarily.
No, I would say,
Oh, okay.
because like I said, it's an allowed use in a residential district, churches.
I think building on the sidewalk is not a good idea. That's where I'm at. I mean, I just don't know if that would even make, that sounds dangerous to me.
I would have to agree with that.
the only other place in town that I can think of, that there's an actual step in the sidewalk. In front of someone's shop. It's the only place that I can think of. And that's been there for over 100 years, I'm
Mhm.
guessing that building, but it doesn't make it right, but that's the only other place I'm trying to run through my head. Where there's other steps.
Yeah, I think if they just moved them off the south, they had them go down to the south there and a little sidewalk or a little thing would solve that whole problem, but off the edge of that ramp and well, I guess we gotta make a decision, so.
Well, I would make a motion to accept the building permit A and C. I won't make the motion for the B. So.
Second goes to- Okay, we got a motion and a second for the 202 South Main Street and the 26-255 US Highway 14. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those two pass. So we have to have a motion to turn this down also.
If you're gonna turn it down, otherwise table it and maybe get them to come in here and discuss with them. That's the only other option that I,
Are we able to send this back to them and ask them to revise it and then they don't have to have another fee?
they won't have to pay them.
That would be the.
So basically just table.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
just table that one and need to get a hold of Novak too and get the legalities if we're gonna be liable for them steps out there anyway and stuff. But to me, going off the south would be anyway. Table that. Okay, number 3, requests for council action, if any, truth and taxation public hearing. We need a motion to set it that night, right? First,
Yeah,
I think you have
and
to
then the
read that.
minutes and the audio, you have to announce
Yeah.
when it'll be, and then that needs to be in the minutes.
Yeah, I think in the request, it says what you need to say.
yeah. Somebody want to make a motion to set that?
I think you have to read that part, the recommendation part, don't you?
You want to read that first or, okay. So the truth and taxation hearing will be held December 13th, 2021 at 7:15 PM at City Hall, 112 Second Avenue West for those wishing to speak regarding the 2022 budget and levy.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Aye opposed? Public hearing is set. Personnel, Donna Peterson, David Kelsey Bassett, and Julie Sense. Thought about it? Sure. Well, I've already talked to you, so I don't think it helps to do that, so. And the other one, Julie, I didn't even know you were on the ambulance.
I was just trying to help out for a little while, but
Okay. So I guess somebody make a motion on that. Everybody's read the sheets.
I can make the motion.
I will second it then. And that's motion to accept the resignations of Madonna Peterson, David Kelsey Bassett, and Julie Sense. So we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, thank you, Madonna and Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madonna.
You'll be around for a while, right? Okay. So we've got police department purchase firearms and accessories.
Yeah. Well, I was looking to get a department firearm. It's gonna run roughly around $1,000 with the accessories and the holster and whatnot. Just make things so much cleaner to have one, so everybody that works here is using the same one instead of them bringing their own. In some cases, other departments won't let them use their firearms at a different place, so that's what I was asking for.
So when I first heard about this, I talked to Chuck and Nick was there. Madonna, I'm not sure you were here yet, but there was a gun. The police station had a gun.
Yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, because they
Yep.
come and asked us
That's what I was
to
just gonna ask.
make it surplus equipment and
Yeah.
we
Denied it.
because somebody wanted to buy it and we didn't
Yep.
think we should sell the gun. So
That was an old service revolver.
There were, if I remember right,
That's-
there were 2 service revolvers. They were old service revolvers. And that what was brought forward and asked that they could be purchased.
right, and we denied it, but so I guess my question was what happened?
So there's one old revolver in there.
That's all I could find.
There's no, there's nothing, a duty gun that we would carry is automatic like we carry, but there's one revolver in there.
Oh, there is.
I
Okay.
don't know if you guys, anybody remembers if they purchased a semi-auto with them.
I don't think they
No,
got, no. I think it was probably that old revolver is probably the one
Yep.
we're thinking of, then, yeah, we'd have to go automatic anyway, but but I knew there was a gun too. That
Yeah, and
when I read it,
and I couldn't remember what it was or what the deal was. I just,
Yeah.
I know somebody had requested to buy it and well, we don't think that's a good idea. So,
So that's still there.
okay. You were thinking there was 2?
I was thinking there was 2, but I could be wrong.
So yeah, anyway, and like I say, it just kind of makes it cleaner and all the one officer doesn't have his own personal one to use. He has one for the department, so. If we get in an area where lending him a personal gun of ours and stuff like that, that's, city needs to just own one.
we should,
God forbid something happens.
yeah,
And that'll be a city one that stays,
That's just stays here.
it's the city when he's off duty. It's not something they'll actually take with
No,
him.
like we talked, it'll stay here and that way if somebody comes in a hurry, you know, have your belt or something, at least it's sitting here. So
mhm. Definitely should be updated from the old one that we
Yes,
did have,
exactly.
so.
Probably the one DH carried.
Budget wise, is that, do we still have money for that or in their budget?
If not, you can always take it out of the capital improvement.
I think for 1,000.
There was not money budgeted for equipment improvements. But like I said, there's always the capital improvement money.
Thank you.
They're probably under budget. in other items as well, you know, like in operating supplies or?
Yeah, right now in operating supplies, they're fine. They have over 3,000 left in operating supplies yet.
Have they spent any equipment? 404?
I looked at a different one, and there's nothing. 404, they have $1,700 left in equipment. So they have money available. It was not budgeted for this purpose, but it's a minor expenditure.
I'll make a motion to update.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second.
I emailed everybody the police log and stuff. Hopefully you got that.
Hold it, we gotta finish this vote first.
And you're not in your report yet either, just.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? The motion passes.
Yeah, so anyway, like I said, kind of
You're
shows.
still not in the police.
Maybe next time I'll just go back to my office and get it.
I'm sorry, I was last. Can you tell me who the motions are?
Daryl first and Dave second.
Thank you.
Okay, then before he starts talking again. Fiscal host for Southwest Minnesota Arts Council grant.
This was just submitted to me. To me by Julie Shar, I believe.
Yep, Lydell and I both got the email on that. Basically what they need is the Southwest, what's it called? No, it's not
no,
the
it's
aging, it's
Southwest
Southwest
Arts.
Initiative Foundation is getting this money. But they just need somebody basically to receive the check because they can't write themselves checks. So they need somebody to receive the check and then pay the bills of $2,500 out of it, a nonprofit. So,
And I think this might be actually going through the commercial club now too. Just because it makes it easier than, otherwise. I think we'd have to vote actually on everything and stuff.
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
If the commercial club can host it, that would be easier.
Yeah, so it sounded, and I was actually gonna talk to Mike earlier and I forgot, but.
Okay.
I had seen an email from him today that I think he's on board with it.
Okay.
And the rest are, so
Good.
I actually think that's going, so I think we can just table that.
Okay.
Okay, and then we've got denial of variance.
Last meeting, I was incorrect in saying you didn't need to approve, you could just let it die. Apparently you need to actually deny the variance. Assuming that's still what you want to do and you guys haven't changed your mind.
And we can do that with all the other resolutions unless we want to do it now, but we can do it as one group later. But that's what that is basically that fence that came up last month. So we'll just take care of that as part of the ordinance unless somebody's got something else they want to touch on that. Approving property for tax forfeiture.
This is something that comes out from Redwood County. It essentially is people that haven't been paying their taxes, they go up for the sheriff's office, is what they generally call it. This is the city saying, yes, we understand that it will be going up for forfeiture. Ultimately, we need to be okay because it is in our municipality. So, yeah, you get it.
This is a different procedure this year, so we never had to do that.
Okay. Is that the down on the county?
Sure,
road?
Mac.
It's the house right across, kind of up by Ray Arkell's, that blue, new freshly sided house that no one's ever lived
The old
in.
Wisner house.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go, right next to,
Kitty corner with my mom and dad there.
Yep.
Okay.
Next to Elaine Frank.
and with that, I need all the council members to sign that sheet when we get done with the meetings, and don't run away.
Yeah, that's the only one. They both got the same property ID number. I don't know why there's two of them, but they both have the same property ID number. What was we talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the same one.
Oh, somebody want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion.
motion in a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
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 By opposed? Motion passes. Assignment agreement for arbitrage services,
Arbitrage.
arbitrage.
We engaged in a contract with AEM Financial Solutions to have them do our arbitrage and guide us through our arbitrage. And now they are no longer providing that service, and the person that's leading them is going to a different company, and they are recommending that we essentially reassign arbitrage to this. So we keep our same person, but now she's working for a different company.
So I can't even pronounce it, so just explain what this is. What do
What is
you,
arbitrage?
yeah,
Okay, so when you bond for money, depending on what type of a bond it is, you have to go through what's called an arbitrage compliance. And what that means is an outside source reviews how you spent the money, what you spent it on, so that you're in compliance with a tax-free bond.
okay. So it's kind of like an audit,
It's
basically.
an audit of the bond, yes.
Okay.
And because it's a contract agreement, only council is allowed to enter into a contract agreement. And we were in that agreement with AEM Financial Services before. Gail Robertson has left AEM and gone to another company. So they are asking us to reassign the contract to the new place of employment that Gail Robertson is at.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve that agreement?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 By opposed? Motion passes. 2021 proposed tax levy payable in 2022.
Donna's gonna kind of guide you through this one.
Well, I basically just prepared a small memo that by the end of September, you have to have adopted a preliminary or proposed tax levy and certify it to the county auditor. Last year, the levy was certified at $798,586. I went through multiple options last year and had a resolution prepared for different things, and you guys went with something else. So this year, I just presented it at like a 5%, 6%, 7%. We can even go 4%, 3%, 2%, however you want. Just want to keep in mind that the projected COLA increase for SSI is at 6.2%. We had a human resource meeting a couple of months ago talking about possible COLAs increases. You were anticipating a $9,000 expenditure for ordinance updates, $10,000 contribution to the 150th anniversary celebration. And library operations for the last couple of years, we've been skimming by because they've had an account or a cash balance in there, so we haven't contributed as much to them. This year, they're down to literally nothing. We have to support them in full. And I calculate that that's going to be a minimum of a $17,000 increase there. So with these expenditures here, I'm coming up with at least $55,000 for a projected increase without, that's not even taken into account inflation or like utilities, fuel operations, etc. So I put it at a minimum of 5%, and you guys decide whatever, you know, however you want to go. This is preliminary proposed. This, you have until December 28th, I believe it is, which your meeting is in December, so you usually make the final that night to decide what your final levy is going to be for the year. Keeping in mind that you can always reduce, but you can never exceed or go up.
How much we go last year?
Your levy last year was $798,586.
So 5% would bring it to,
Would
No.
to $838,515.30. That would be an increase of $39,929.30.
Looking at the bottom of this, this is what your levy is last year with a 5% increase. It would be an increase of that amount of money for this amount for the levy, all the way down. This is in your packets.
Mhm.
Well, what's the thoughts on it, folks? What do we?
Yeah, it was in this.
Part of the 39.
Oh, on the new, okay,
Yeah, it's one of the additional things. we have.
okay.
Sorry.
Well, with the fact that you can't go up, you can go down. I guess I'll just come out and say I'd be, the 7% is what would get us to about what the bottom is of the projected increases without the utilities and stuff. We know what our reserve or our cash balance is projected at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite healthy. That's gonna be your, your cash balance. Even though last year we reduced our cash balance by that whole 2020 street maintenance project, which was unfavorable to us when we did our bond, our refunding of our bond. So that is why we had to go with a non-rated version. Again, the banks, if that's what you want to say, they're looking that we're minding our P's and Q's and we're following our budget and that we're not having surprises, so to speak, all the time. So in the checking account right now, we're close to $1 million. We have December bond payments that we have to make out of that. And we have not, today is September, we still will get our
So another quarter.
we still will get our local government aid in December, and we will still get our second half of our taxes in December. So a large portion of that is going to be transferred into, or should be transferred into an investment because they right verbiage. On the last street project that we did, they estimated the amount of what it was going to cost us, and our arbitrage on that showed that we exceeded like 300,000, I want to say $300,000
Something like that we were under, you're talking?
that
Yeah, it came under budget.
yeah.
They
We came in
overestimated
under budget.
expenses.
They overestimated,
And
and but there's
unfortunately,
only
you bond
certain
for
things
what
that
they
we can
ask.
spend that money on. It has to be, I think it's chapter 429 is what it's called, of Minnesota state statutes. It has to be a certain type of an assessment street project or whatever. And I did discover well, I didn't discover this, Jessica Green discovered it. And we've been in discussion with our auditors. For whatever reason, when they refunded the 2013 B bond, which comprised of a 2004, 2005, and a 2009, I believe were the three, maybe 2008 in there too. There was either 3 or 4 bonds that they refunded. And when the bonding company refinances a bond and stuff, they pretty much tell you how much levy you have to charge for, how much your payments are each year, so on and so forth. Well, when they refunded this 2013 this year, the paperwork came back and it said that we have to charge like $95,000 worth of levy, where we've been charging for the last several years like 60-some thousand. So I called Jessica and I questioned her. I said, you said that the payments and everything were gonna be the exact same. Well, how it turned out was the way that bond was refunded for 4 different ones. There's certain portions of it that's called an improvement, which is considered that chapter 429, and then the rest of it is utilities. So the bonds, when you borrow money, you borrow it based on what the need is for. And when it's for utilities, usually you can't levy for utilities, so you have to pay that back out of your utility rates and things like that. But the improvement part of it, you specially assess part of it, and then you can bond or levy for that's coming back. And somehow or another, in the gist of all of it, we were supposed to be levying more than we actually were. But there is enough money that is sitting in the, what's called the fund balance of Fund 309, that I think that it's going to carry us, that we should be fine, at least for the next 4 years for sure. But because that also is a chapter 429 project, I thought that possibly that money that they overestimated for, that could be used on something like that too. That's the bond that the improvement portion of it is going to be paid off in 2026. The improvement portion of it was just refinanced at 490,000. And I think we're sitting at 209,000, I want to say, sitting in the fund balance. And the amount of leftover from the unspent portion, I want to say, is around 200 and some thousand too. So we might be able to do that.
Even
But
out.
we're gonna, I mean, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing in the financial world for what people are looking at us too. So I've been working on it.
Well, what's the thoughts?
I think 7% sounds good too. We can always come down if we think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to go higher than that.
No.
No, definitely not.
And I think we have enough in reserve, the way it sounds, to cover those other increases if we have them. And hopefully we can find a way to bring even that 7% down by the other thing, so. I'll make a motion that we set the levy at a 7% increase. Is that how we say it, I guess?
We're actually gonna have you pass a resolution, and was it 30,
31.
31?
Yep, and I'm working on it right now.
So when we come across that, we'll just have you adopt that resolution. And that would be a 7% increase, so the levy would be set or certified at the $854,487.02. And
Okay,
then with that resolution here.
okay, by the end of the night, so we don't need this motion then?
No, because I
Okay,
have to certify that with the county, I don't, so you're gonna have some.
okay. Is everybody all right with that? Or I guess we'll find out when we go to pass the levy or the resolution. Okay, Novak law conflict of interest waiver. Is this over the ambulance agreement? Is that what it actually is? And basically what it is he's the city attorney for both cities, so.
And
I do have a copy of that.
It'll be the same,
can you send this to me as well?
yeah, it'll be the same with Westbrook as well, just the verbiage change from Webster to
Let
Westbrook.
me make some copies so I can give it to you. Council members here quick.
Do we
I have
need,
one different.
do we need a motion on to, or he's just telling us that he's got a
Yes, he
conflict?
called today and asked us to have you, I thought he said make a motion.
In the center there, if you could read that center part, we
Okay.
agree, blah, 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 and then they.
Okay, so here's what he's got. We agree to waive any conflict Matt Novak and Novak Law might have regarding the advising of mutual aid agreement with City of El Paso. We understand that on this matter, Novak Law was contacted first by City of El Paso, and that they shall be the client of Novak Law in the event of any conflict of interest on this matter. And he's basically asking us to accept that language.
Correct.
I would make a motion.
Motion and a second to accept that. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Okay, then we'll go on to department reports, maintenance department. You want them to go first? Okay, now.
He's over here. His tongue can be his brain to death.
He gets to last.
Go or not?
Are you gonna let them go too?
It ain't going ahead.
I don't even know. But, take a minutes or whatever. Something log, a few more yard complaints. Deal with them. Yeah, should have a parking complaint. Sad days seem to go fine,
Iron days.
or iron days, my bad.
Almost in the right town.
Yeah, close. You guys been hearing anything?
I had an individual call me today and just wanted to make sure that when we do events that they had, there was two things. They just wanted to make sure that there was a police presence during the day, and apparently the porta potty ball got dropped on that because there was no porta potties there. And they didn't know if that was something the city was supposed to order, if they were supposed to order, but so those are just two
Emily
things.
Hagedorn called me several months ago and I told her that they had to take care of it.
Yeah, and apparently the ball got
We
dropped there.
usually pay for them, but
Usually pay for it.
I don't know if we ordered them or not, but.
I had a note on my desk from at least probably July. when-
So it's just something we need to just remember for future.
We had guys on. Just now we got the right time, this person already know or something. But,
Yeah.
Well, and I was leaving town Saturday morning and I seen, which I think was Andrew anyway, the deputy county car coming
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So
It was up at the game.
there
I
was,
came home at late Saturday night and there was PD on patrol at that time, and that was.
I think they were meeting like Saturday during,
Yeah, this
during the
is-
pour
this is
itself.
Saturday at 11 o'clock at night.
yeah.
I think
But
they meant
during
like
the-
during the
during
day,
the-
during the
yeah.
pour. So I just
Which,
said
yeah,
I'd mention it and that's fine.
yeah, I think it was good. It was around Friday night.
I know Walnut Grove just hired a full-time, they had a opening, they had some people apply. Our listing isn't on the post board site anymore, so I don't know if that's something you guys want, if you still want to try to find a full-time chief. I'll Put it out there and see what you get. Or what you guys think there.
Well, I myself like what we have. I don't know if you guys like what we have, but or the rest of the council, but I like it. I met Andrew just Friday night. Is it Andrew or Andy?
Andrew.
Andrew. Seems like a nice young man, so.
He was over with me for a little while in the afternoon. I mean, he just waved at the kids. I mean, I think he's just.
Yeah, he's super good.
Waved at everybody, you know, talked to people, so I think it'll work out good.
You know, there's issues, you know, with the wages that I'm sure you guys will be talking about later and whatnot, but in order to get people hired to work, that's kind of what I need, and if that's gonna be an issue. Maybe you would be better off looking for a full-time chief or whatnot.
I guess I kind of like the idea of a full-time chief for obvious reasons, but I like the idea too that and I think you get more community involvement with, you know, the full-time officer and
Yeah, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings either way, so don't, whatever. you guys, Community talk to you or want something different. Or if you wanna just think about it until next
I
week.
don't know if we want to put something on post or not.
And I know Walnut Grove, you know, I talked to Rick as well, and I think you did too, but you know, they had some pretty decent candidates, the way it sounded. They had 2 or 3 that were had quite a bit of experience and were,
Yeah, I was surprised how many applicants they had. I talked to the mayor a little bit there. And they were interviewing 5. That surprised me, but.
But if they hire a full-time chief, they have time to change the budget yet.
They do, but again, it can't go up, it can only stay even or go down.
but it's been budgeted for, right?
Well, next
way it was
year it
already.
would be budgeted more like this, right? Like what we're doing.
It's budgeted for what
What we have now.
And what we have now is operating under the full-time, correct? The 113 or something?
No, we have the 2 salary employees and I can go to,
our salary probably wouldn't cover full-time chief.
I think 55,000 is what's budgeted for right now.
I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, it's 55,
That should be about right, because it used to be 20 and 15 for a part-time.
correct?
Yeah, everything is in part-time wages, and the total budgeted for 2021 was 54,954. So roughly, 55,000.
So what I budgeted for this year, this 2022 is a salary of $15,750 for Chief Huben, a salary of $26,250 for Chuck Finger, and 30 hours per pay period at $20 an hour for part-timers, for a total, now this is a salary, $68,630.40. That's with wages, para. So that means wages are 57,600. Para is 10,195.20. And Medicare is 835.20.
If you do a full-time, you're not gonna have much left in that right now for part-time help.
Do you know what Walnut Grove was paying?
Somewhere between 28 and 30, I think, an hour is what they were gonna get.
So that full-time chief is not a salary position, it's an hourly?
I mean, I think that was the hourly or
Oh, okay.
averaged out. So that's
And
my opinion
that
on what everybody else thinks.
30,000, a little over 60, yeah.
That's just some wages.
Well, I think for now, I'm happy with what we're doing. And if we want to do something else, we need to sit down and plan that and figure out the money and everything for it, but
Like, so if you say this will go on for a year, are you good with that, Mike, with your
I don't
situation?
know, I mean, I
that you're-
hope,
20
there's
years.
get to be a lot of other stuff going on and whatnot, but so far I've been making it work and Chuck and stuff. It's been all right because he's kind of the main one here, but like I say, I'm trying to bring some other guys in, but it's hard
Mhm,
to get anybody to come around.
mhm.
I don't think the county is. I think they've, have they had to handle much investigation anyway? I know they've had to come take calls and whatnot. They're gonna have to until either there's somebody full-time here or what.
Well, I keep saying it, we're part of the county too, so. That should be expected, but. Okay, you got anything else? Anything else on the police report? We'll take a motion to accept.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye opposed? Okay, we'll head back up to, unless you're, oh yeah, that's Justin, go ahead.
I give you guys mine. The other, one thing I wanted to touch on that. I said this pumps for the water plant. Put money away every year, you know, for the capital improvement of that, you know. So, I mean, we have money that we set aside every year for that, that will contract amount. But so we have money for it next year, but it's, the fact is, you want me to look into it more. I do know it's going to cost a little bit more than what the low service pumps and everything did cost. So, I mean, it should be around that 30,000, is what I'm guessing. But again, they're the same age and they pump the exact same gallons as the low service pumps, so.
So do they both pump when they come on?
No, they're.
Is that
is
one
a
in reserve?
standby. So if one fails, I got the limit set at a different level, so then it'll kick on, or say fire has a structure fire or they're hauling a lot of water, I'll kick them both on then.
So is it stupid to replace one of them at a time, or is
Well,
that not recommended, or is it just not cost effective, or?
it wouldn't be cost effective for them coming out here, plus the shutdown then too, you know. Cause we would end up running, I would drain the tower and we'll be running off, straightly off pumps directly to the system, like bypass, and I feed town with the new pumps that we just had put in.
So I'm gonna interrupt here a minute. So I applied for that ARP funds, the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan funds. It came out that they were like $83,000, and the eligible use, you guys had approved just in for the 29,000, whatever it was for those low
For the
service
low
pumps,
service pumps,
that can come out of that money. Okay?
yeah. For
And
this year, you're
well,
talking,
yeah,
I'm talking for budget, getting ready for next year.
that's fine,
But
but
can the rest
I'm
of it
saying
go?
yeah, and what I'm saying is then Allison wants 40,000 for a monitor, that's also eligible to use. So the 30,000 or 29 and 40 is 69. You still got 79, 80, 182, 80, about what?
15,000.
There you go. So
15,000 plus the money that we were gonna,
authorized him to
Right.
spend the 29,000 is what I'm saying. And if we take that out of those ARPA funds, that's just, I mean, you already authorized that to come out of the capital improvement is what I'm
It'll soften
Pointing
the
out.
blow for next year.
Otherwise,
Basically what you're
well,
saying.
is that something, those funds, can that wait till next year, or does it have to be spent immediately, or?
no, we got until 2024 to spend it.
Okay,
And we got 40,000 40 whatever thousand this year. Next year, by next summer, we'll get the other 40. Allison asked for her monitor next year, so Justin can spend those funds this year, you know, the 40,000 or whatever, plus out of capital improvement. Allison can have the, you know, whatever for her monitor next year, and then the money washes, if that's what you want.
and we've got that money, or it's?
We've gotten half of it, yes, we
Okay,
have.
so,
the other thing that we had thought about earmarking that money for was for well site.
Yep, that backflow.
So if we use it for, if we use it for the high service pumps, we can't also use it for that.
We're gonna put the water meter and the backflow preventer in our well house, which is still in the pocket for this fall yet. But
Neither one of them qualify.
yeah, so, well, I guess my,
Oh, yeah, right.
my opinion is, yeah, certainly look into it.
and the only thing that I'm really I wanna do there is use the same pumps. So we got all four of the same pumps. So if one does, you can pull it over to low or the high to get by until they come out, because we had duct tape and rubber bands to finish up here until they showed up that day.
And those have been, yeah, they've been wrong.
Yeah, they're-
I would absolutely look into them, because if they do go down, then it's gonna be a lot easier to replace them at your convenience rather than in an emergency. That would be a nightmare up there. I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
I would look into it.
that was the one thing, you know, I wasn't gonna have them come out and do all the measuring and all that stuff, because that costs them guys money, you know, I mean, they bid it for nothing. And ultimately, and they did a phenomenal job. We had that, and it was a perfect storm. Go up there in the morning and the the filter was totally empty. And what's going on here? We finally got the kick on, the pump to kick on, and it was like a jet stream coming out inside the filter, so there was a hole blowing in the pipe. The filters were out. I called them that morning because I knew they were coming. They brought out the pipe that we needed. And we ended up getting us up and running there, and then they had floats on the truck. Because the ones that I had for a spare were only for the top floats, so they had the right ones. But it worked out phenomenal. I think the bill on that was only like $1,500.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
And that was over half a day of work, but I was still impressed. The other thing was, I gave you guys was, you want me to try to find somebody to televise those pipes or on the deep end up at the swimming pool, pop a hole in it, cut the pipe. It's the same company that did the skimmers that we replaced 3 years ago, put in that deep end, and I guarantee you that's where the air is coming. Sure, they put the traps and everything in, and when they couldn't get it to fit, they just stepped on it, shoved it down in there. Called it good, because that's how the other ones work. But we can cut a section of cement out first and run a camera on them.
Is that what you would recommend?
I guess that's where I would start.
I think Alan's got one though.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Yeah, see what the problem is, I guess.
No, it's gonna be a little extra expense. Then
Then you know what you're getting into.
Well, you know exactly what you gotta fix when you start fixing it,
Right.
then,
and when we get in there,
pretty much.
if we have to go in there, we're gonna redo the pipes. I mean, the pipes are cheap. It's the
Yeah.
cement and the labor and stuff on top of it. We kept losing prime on the pump the last 3 weeks of pool season here. It's sucking so much air that if you had one valve not set right, she deadhead. So other than that, them are the main things that I was gonna ask you guys to let you know about, so.
And then the other,
The pond worked amazing. So the level when you drive out there now, that's the level that pond's going to be all the time. The basins in the street are dry. So now we gotta get down in there, fix the structures, regrout them and everything. And hopefully we can take a shim out. We don't have to pull the whole structure. We can just take a shim out. Let them be where they're at. Cross your fingers, it's gonna be the cheapest way.
and then you had put vinyl siding on the park instead of what's on there.
Yeah. I priced the same board that's up there, that's the original board. Had Gramps to come over and measure it. I don't know if they forgot to send it in or what happened there. He told me it was gonna be anywhere from 7 to 12 weeks to get it. What we called here at the beginning of August. Oh, it's not in yet, and he come back over to measure it up again. And the price pretty much doubled to tripled. I'm like, no, that's not. I said, forget it, we're gonna hold off on it then. So I don't know if you want me to look into doing vinyl or put steel on it.
Well,
I mean, it needs to be,
that's my concern is vinyl durable enough?
well, that's the other thing, I mean, vinyl will crack where steel's gonna dent, Either way, the little ones are gonna do something to it.
Wonder if a guy would just wait till spring and see what,
And we can,
yeah, just in case, maybe things will turn around in the next 6 months.
because the two sides on each shelter aren't bad. It's the north side, the east side. On each one that, I wasn't gonna change it. I was only gonna do those two sides because that's the only stuff's rotten and then paint everything. So it all matched, because you can still get the same plywood or whatever. So it would look the same, but
Yeah, I think that's probably the best idea now is just to wait till spring and see what we have to do.
No, and that's fine. I just wanted your guys' opinion on what you thought there, so.
Anything else?
Nothing came up today, no.
Motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve maintenance report. All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Thanks, Justin. You're up, ambulance.
Okay. The only addition I have to what I sent in is that the agreement with the Vassal was accepted and approved by the Vassal's council. The agreement with Westbrook is still in process. I'm waiting to hear back from their director, who, talking to him initially, didn't see any issues with it. So once it goes through him, it'll go through the county and then back to us again.
Then ultimately our council needs to approve it.
Figured that was coming at some point. But if it helps, good deal.
I don't know that I'm a big fan of it, but we don't really have a choice.
Wait, how, like for nights and stuff, is that going okay though? You're holding?
Right now we are at 4 teams of 3. And depending what happens after the next meeting, we may be down to 2 teams of 3 and 2 teams of 2. Dropping down to teams of 2.
Yeah,
We're hurting.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
we've done just about every idea we can as
Yeah.
far as recruiting and getting people, but there's just
no interest, yeah.
no interest.
I didn't get anybody to talk to you. The same thing.
But there are 2 people signed up.
There's 2 people signed up. Both of them work at the nursing home. I don't know what their availability is gonna be once they're on. Couple people have decided to step back to casual, so that's something that we have to address as a team at this month's meeting. And see what we can do. I mean, COVID hit everybody hard. Everybody's stretched to the max with their jobs and everything. And, you know, I told my crew I'm barely hanging on right now. Doing what we can to get through.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully everybody appreciates it.
Not a lot, but I'd appreciate it.
Okay, anything else?
Any questions for me?
Motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. By opposed? Thank you.
Yeah.
Administration EDA. Got anything other than,
I'm just trying to tread water. I haven't had a time.
did we get a written one at all on that? So we don't really have a report. So, okay,
I just drew a blank, Lydell. We were supposed to,
Aging,
there you go,
you're welcome.
to be the fiscal host for the Council on Aging.
We're already, no.
no, it was the bathroom thing.
Oh,
No, wrong.
I'm thinking of the wrong thing, yeah.
Let's just put that down on mayor, council
Okay.
reports and communications. Good thing you said something on that. Okay, Tom? Got anything?
Just thought maybe I should show up and bring you up to speed on where we're at with some of the things we got going. So, we did finally, but the shortage of getting stuff, get the lights
and that rescue rig wrapped now. So we're in the process of bringing that up to service. I've got the radio in it. Now that came in last week and we got that installed. So we're working to lay things out and then we'll come together some evening and we'll just transfer over, you know, and get that guy in service hopefully by the end. I can't say by the end of this month, but I'd say by the end of next month, where we're at there. And then with the brush truck thing, the chassis is sitting up in Fargo. I found the chassis, so that's sitting in Fargo. The bids for the rest of it, we submitted to the USDA last week. We're waiting for approval to come back so we can figure out where to take it to get that portion of it built. And where we're at right now with that. So, and the SCBA grant, which was another one out of the USDA. I got that submitted by the end of August to be a 10% increase. That came back, that's approved, so they are on order. There's still some smaller pieces of that puzzle that I have to work on as far as some turnout gear and different things to fulfill that one. Kind of working at it one step at a time, otherwise it just gets to be too many irons going and too many people trying to call, so where we're at there, so, you know, build time on that brush truck would be 60 to 90 days after signing the purchase agreement, which like I say, I hope that comes back this week and we can get that out here. I'm pushing to try and get it built out here in Sioux Falls. It's about the closest one, and if there's problems, we've had real good luck. That's where our tanker came from, and we have that built. We stand behind everything to do quality work, so that's where we're at there. So with that stuff, so, and just kind of shuffling things around as far as the grants and what's there, and the budget, some of the budgeted money in this, and we should be all right on this stuff when we get all done. Otherwise, I don't see any big bumps coming down the road right now. So cost of some, it's higher than what initially figured, but I think we've got enough built in to take care of this. And like I said, some of the things, if we have to wait, as far as doing some things, some more things to this rescue truck, like I said, we're going to do what we need to make that thing functionable and safe. I said my wrap that we put on new LED lights on because visibility on the highway with the lights that were on there, I wasn't happy. So to bring it into compliance, you know, the lights on there were 20 years old at the time. So that's where we're at there. And I said, if we got to hold back on some of the other stuff, we can work at some of the other things. Like I said, the so-called the needs you have to take care of, but the ones can wait until you got some dollars and figure out what actually is going to work. So yeah. And I do have 2 grain bin tubes on order. Meadowland was gracious enough between them and Land O'Lakes to buy them. And after I went up and talked to them, I actually found out, I got an email from, it's called Ag Country up in Fargo. I had applied for one and they had turned me down, and they sent me an email saying, you're accepted now, so we're going to end up with an extra one of them. They'll bring it down. We have to train on it. It's got a couple of harnesses, some ropes, it's the whole thing. When they leave a week from now, that will be sitting here. So we'll have that stuff updated. So, so other than that, like I said, we're currently one number down, and we have been for a year again. So hoping to
The burn went all right out there?
burn out well. It was a very good.
Looks a lot better than it did, so.
Yeah, no, that was very good. I was very impressed with them trainers that come in, and they did an excellent job. And like I told the guys and the people over there, I said, it's very seldom that you're gonna get 5 guys come in there with over 150 years experience in the fire service to do the training with. So yeah, everything flowed, worked really well over there. You know, with structures, it was a very good training. So yeah.
Good. Anything else?
I don't have anything else unless you've got something for me.
You got any questions?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Anything from militia, library? I don't think we had a written one, did we? Go on that. Okay, ordinance and resolutions. All in one, if everybody's okay with everything.
I will make a motion to accept those ordinances and resolutions.
We got a motion and Dave seconded. You got that, Nick? Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All the resolutions accepted. August 2021 financial report and approval of claims.
I will make a motion for the approval of the claims and the financial report.
I can second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And I just got one thing on the claims. Is how does, and maybe it's just a Saturday delivery or something, but how does 1.75 yards end up $100 more than 2.25 yards of concrete? Is
Small load charge.
that what they did? Okay.
I saw the same.
I just noticed that I'm like,
Yards, isn't it?
okay,
Small load charge. right.
well, they did the 1.25 loads. But maybe they came together or got split. Just, I seen it and I had thought I better
Sometimes
ask.
They waive it and sometimes they don't. And it depends on if they're busy or not.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my question.
Who you're gonna ask.
So we had a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Board accepted. Okay, mayor, council reports and communications.
I have
A
some-
letter from Justin.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Do that one first.
You can do that first, yeah.
I agree with you. I wasn't in favor of it, but I abstained because Boston was involved. Otherwise, I would have voted no.
I understand that.
That's, but
It's just
What the council-
frustrating for the past. And I know it's difficult getting people here and then it was the fact that we have policies and stuff and then we didn't even, basically put out the windows. And Nick asked multiple times, I'll get whatever information you guys need prior to making a decision or anything. And then I was watching that, I'm like, what's going on here? And I don't complain about a lot of stuff and I try not, you guys set policy and that's the way it is. But this bothered me, so that's why I submitted a letter to you guys, so you guys had time to think about it and digest or whatever, I guess, Because I know, it was an issue with Tim in my department, I know that for a fact. These part-time guys are coming in, they weren't even hired yet. We're gonna give you this much money and you got the guy that's here, well, it was using and stuff.
we kind of did that when Tim come in too. Two wrongs don't make a right, but
It started on the step is what I'm saying. So like when you guys hired them, the officers should have been started at step whatever. Instead it was just $20. So now how do you follow that step scale? going forward?
yeah.
And Madonna put a lot of time and effort into that, and that was a big thing. We're gonna follow that.
I'm really not arguing with you.
I'm just looking at you because you're.
I-
You know what
I
I mean?
understand you.
There, I mean, that's why we did that, because we had this.
Yeah, I think I brought it up that we didn't want to, but that's how the council voted. And
So I mean, that's.
All I
why
can
wrote
say.
You guys a letter. I
Mhm.
mean, it doesn't do any good to be mad about it and not let you guys know what we're thinking on this side. So that's why I did it, you know?
I was the one that made a motion for that, and that department has been struggling and with whatever, and it was probably a knee-jerk deal, but in the same breath, I think we got a couple more hired there. I do agree, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times with that step scale stuff, I never even looked at the chart. I never even, I kind of go by what, I trust what you had wrote down and whatever, and I didn't realize how they were hurdling somebody or whatever, and I certainly didn't mean anything towards anybody.
No, and I know that, and that's why, I know things come up, and I know it's hard to get people, to come in and do a part-time gig and this and that. But right now, with the way society is, I wish I was 18 or 19 years old. You could travel the country and you get top dollar for any job and find out exactly what you want to do.
Right,
You know what I mean, right now? And
100%.
And that's why it kind of felt like didn't consider the full-time employees that you had here. You know what I mean, or you didn't, not consider, but just overlooked it, basically. Like, well, they're here, they ain't going anywhere anyway. And it just kind of, so I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna write you guys what I thought. I tried to leave emotion out of it and just how I saw it go down.
Again, I'm gonna take the blame for that or whatever. When I jumped right in there and did it, because like I said, I guess I had my blinders on. I was so focused on getting that department so it can click for what the town needs.
And I understand that, and if you guys are getting, people are saying, hey, we want to see the squad, or we want to see the squad. I understand that, I do, I totally get that, it's no different than, they want to see the snowplow more, I get
No,
it.
we don't.
But you know what I mean, or the street
Right,
paper, whatever.
right,
Yeah,
right.
So, it's,
And I guess my thinking, Justin, and I'm with Daryl, I meant no hard feelings by bringing that up but I do see the side of the law enforcement on how it's been a struggle. I know Springfield just recently up theirs to $29 an hour for their part-time people, $29 an hour, and I think they were right around the 20 mark. And it's been such a struggle, and that's where my thinking was. And again, I honestly, Justin, I think you deserve a lot more than what you're getting, and I think you've done a phenomenal service for this city.
and I'm bringing it as my part, so that's why I
Mhm.
brought it to you guys.
Yep.
Then I did a little bit more checking and stuff, and you go up to like Fairfax, they're starting out their street guys. No licenses, nothing, they have a CDL at $30 an hour. I mean, I get it, times and everything
Mhm.
have changed, I get it, because if you got somebody that wants to work, and you gotta pay them, I get that.
Yeah.
And we're a small town, I understand that. It was just the way that it went down. That's what upset me.
Understood.
That's why I wrote you guys what I said, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. And I've always been in favor of, I wish sometimes we could have like a meeting with each individual employee and just talk and see where their head is at, on wages and whatever. And like I said, I get stuff kind of goes in, when I read stuff, it don't always okay with me.
And
And
that's what we did with the review stuff, that's what we did last year with the review stuff.
yep,
And the year prior to that, I think it was you and I were the only ones that did them, wasn't it, Madonna, 2 years ago? So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you wrote it. I really am.
I am too, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I like how you went about it. I guess my thoughts are, and again, I think, we can readjust it. I mean, we can tell those people they're going to be on the pay scale at whatever step. And I mean, I guess I never even thought of that, quite honestly.
well. I mean, there's different ways to go about it, and I think we should, my opinion is do the reviews and stuff while we were doing it and sit down and, you know, what are your merits and, you know, what do you think you deserve? What can you improve on?
Mhm.
If it complaints on this, you know, just like how we're supposed to do it. I mean, my personal opinion is.
Well, and to me, that's what raises should be based on is
Oh,
your
definitely.
step increases should be based on your performance.
Right, because I mean, we got, well, Cookie does a heck of a job. He takes that to the bank. That's his
Mhm.
yard waste site out there, you know. And if you go this way, he's got to work for a month of Sundays. And in order to get a step increase, well, the guy does a hell of a job out there. Rain or shine, he's out there. You know what I mean? So that's what bothered me about it, you know.
Mhm.
Where
But he gets a cost of living adjustment every year that everybody else gets a cost of living adjustment. So even them, just like the part-time people, those are the ones that are going out, always going above
yeah. They're moving up faster than the full-time for the hours put in. Right, yeah.
because they're all getting cost of living, just like the ambulance, the fire, everybody's getting a cost of living, or, yeah, cost of living.
COLA.
But none of the full timers are getting any step increases, none.
So I think that is something that needs to be considered, or however you guys want to do it, but just wanted to bring it to light before something catastrophic happens.
Okay,
Not to jump on top, but I know this is Justin's deal, but while he's talking, I did want to make one note is I felt a little disrespected when, well, geez, if we're giving these two new guys who have experience, or at least Boston, who has lots of experience, we're gonna give him a raise. Well, we better drag the other guy along too, because, you know, we can't give them a raise and not give him a raise. But when you guys hired Tim Berkemeyer, that's exactly what you did to me. And there was no comment about, well, geez, if we're gonna pay Tim more, why aren't we paying Nick more, who's been here for 5 years already? No, we'll just leave Nick where he's as and give Tim more, even though he's been here. He hasn't even been here yet. He just started. That hurt. When on the next time you guys hire someone and you're like, well, everyone gets up to 20. Why didn't Nick get to go up to 20 when you decided that Tim, who worked in the exact same position, same job description, got bumped up over a guy who's been here for 6 years or 5 years or whatever I had been at that point? It hurt. That's all I'm gonna say.
all right. Anything else on that? Darrell, do you have something else that you were about to say earlier?
This might sound kind of silly, but again, I've been approached about and thank you all for saying what you're saying. It's good that we're all open and honest. It really is. This is what we need. We need this. Yeah. I was approached again from a citizen about the boulevard trees. If there was ever a written ordinance, and we can do our homework on this for next month or whatever, but if there was a written ordinance at one time, I think a few years back, the rule of thumb was if they took down a tree on the boulevard, they were supposed to replace it. Whether that was, the city in this case, and you probably all know what I'm talking about. But we were, they're missing their 2 trees on their boulevard and they would like them replaced. They just wanted to know if there was ever written ordinance. I said, I will check and see if there's a written one. I don't think there was. I think it was just something we came up with, or a former council came up with.
I don't ever remember seeing a written one. You guys have been hunting through, digging through.
I think between Madonna and I, we've read through those ordinances many times.
Yeah.
Especially in respect to boulevard trees and how things are treated in the boulevard, and there's not anything about.
No, and I actually told this individual, I said, I'm 100% positive there has never been anything written. I think a couple councils ago, that's what the rule of thumb was, is if the person took one down, then that was replaced. Which I think we've all talked about. A lot of times those boulevard trees are what all the damage to start with. And,
And I think if we know who you're talking about or what you're talking about, then exactly that's what it was, is where the placement of those 2 trees was condemning to
The sidewalk.
infrastructure.
Well,
That's why there was
streets,
nothing put
yeah.
back up.
And they were there, it was impeding, you know. They were getting so big,
Right,
you know, right on the corner.
yeah. Yep,
That's why it
exactly.
went.
And that, yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't. We're gonna take your tree down because it's you. No, it
right. And I explained
there
to
was a
them, this,
reason behind it.
yeah, and there was a lot of really nice trees that had to be taken out. And a lot of them, like I said before, a lot of that problem was they were what was doing damage to what we did have, so.
If I was gonna build a brand new city again, there wouldn't be a tree in the boulevard.
No, I agree,
You
yeah,
know, I'd go with Justin, but to the point is, I would have the sidewalks be up against the curb. And then have the trees,
on the inside.
right now you have what, 6 feet to put a tree in.
Yeah,
But when you plant the tree that's this big, fits just fine. 30, 40 years, when the tree's like this, it takes up the entire width of the boulevard and starts beating up both the sidewalk and the curb and gutter. It's
Yeah,
just,
those
Yeah.
ornamentals don't, though.
no.
People have came in and I went over and got the list. We printed it off. I didn't think there might even be a copy of it.
Yeah, I got it up here.
I talked to the greenhouse, you know, on what doesn't have an basic lip ball on the top. It'll push the curb and gutter up, push the sidewalks up, and they are, it's like what we have left on Main Street, you know, small little ornamental trees. And they've came in and they've taken copies of the list, and I
Pick
don't
one of those and
know if they've ever actually seen it go in that are on the list. But we have had people come up and ask us
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
You know, if we were gonna replace their tree, and I told them, oh.
yeah.
It kind of goes back to what you're talking about at the Church of Christ though, too, is if we did a street project in front of their stories, we would take it out, you know, because it was the right of way, if that's what you want to say, and it wouldn't go back.
No.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's kind of the same.
yeah, yeah,
To answer your question, I've never seen an ordinance.
yeah,
I don't
no,
think-
and I didn't think there was one, and I said I would ask, and I'm gonna just, that's the message, because he'll be over tomorrow, and I'll just tell him.
I know,
It's ultimately what you guys, I mean, you guys can set a policy like that if you wanted to.
I know.
Yeah, let's want to stay away from, I think.
Okay, then the thing that we forgot to add later is, yes, the aging community thing that we went through, that they sent out that survey and everything. They came to the EDA earlier today and they've come up with a couple things. One is like a flyer or whatever for information, like if somebody wants a ride someplace, who to call to get that ride, the services and stuff. But the other thing that they're looking at is remodeling the bathrooms at the community center to spend that $10,000 on. So what they were asking the EDA for originally, and we're, I guess, coming here asking the city council at this point only, is to allow them to get a bid to remodel those bathrooms.
Meeting,
No, they will take care of it. They just want us to approve them doing the bid. The EDA did approve that, recommending that the council basically approves it also, so they can go out and get a bid. They want to get the bid quick because their next meeting's the end of the month here. And they kind of want to have them back by then, so.
And if they do the project, they would have to have it done by March.
Yes.
Next year, yeah.
So they would need
That
to
money's
act,
gotta
and
be
there's
spent.
$10,000 set aside. That is basically the free money that we got.
A lot of it is fixing the stalls and working with
Making it ADA.
ADA compliance, getting better toilets in there, low flow, whatever, all that stuff. Just updating. the bathrooms.
And they have
So-
to use one of the 3 contractors, the licensed contractors in the city.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion that we allow the group for the aging. I don't know what that project is called, to get bids on remodeling the bathrooms at the community center.
I'll second it.
So we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. So anybody got anything else? Otherwise, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got to sign that.
Wait.
I'll get you.